So people do ask me about my journey. My journey comes in the form of my story, but my story comes in the form of my son. It was a time when he was 21 months old, and it was during the month of April, and at that specific day, I needed to turn over the soil because we were looking to make a garden. So our garden is 16 feet by 9 feet. And on one side of the garden, towards the 16 feet, it is sidewalk. The 3 other sides is grass, so it's elevated. So Jackson, again 21 months old, and I had got our gloves, got our shovels, bags, and went off to the garden. So I pick him up, get in the garden. One thing I need to make you aware is Jackson only spoke in Creole or French during that time. So we got our equipment, start digging, and minutes later, Jackson says, "Daddy, moi v'lais sortir," which means, "Daddy, I want to step out." So I'm like, okay. So I pick him up to step out because he's only 20 months old, and then I started digging and turn over the soil, and then he says, "Daddy, moi v'lais rentrer," which means rentrer, which means, "Daddy, I want to re-enter." So I pick him up to let him back in. So we continue this "Daddy, moi v'lais sortir," which means, "Daddy, I want to go out," to "Daddy, moi v'lais rentrer" about 3 more times. And I'm like, Jackson, Daddy has to get some work done. This is the only day I have to be able to turn over the soil. The next time he asked me as far as to exit, I said, Jackson, I'm going to keep you out because Daddy needs to really turn this over the soil. This is my only day. So he's unhappy, seems like he's frustrated because now he wants to get back in. And I just kept turning over the soil, digging, removing those weeds. Out of his frustration, Jackson's now trying to get into the garden on the sidewalk side, which is about an inch and a half difference to maybe 2 inches. He realized he can't, and on his own, he starts walking around on top of the grass and then says, "Daddy, moi v'lais rentrer." I said, Jackson, Daddy's still turning over the soil. I need to get this done today. He realized on his own, if Daddy's not gonna let me in, I'm gonna let myself in. So he tries to get over this 2-foot wire mesh, and is unsuccessful. Trying to lift up his short legs to get over it, and he just keeps going back because the wire mesh is somewhat flexible. Eventually, about maybe 4 or 5 times, Jackson notices that the top of the wire mesh starts to bend. And then it's more like, okay. So he just kept going to bring the top of the wire mesh down. Eventually, Jackson gets over this wire mesh. He puts on his gloves, grabs a shovel, and he helps me dig. So let me tell you that I actually finished the job faster because what Jackson did really got me motivated and inspired. So some of you may wonder, why am I talking so much about my story about my son Jackson? It's not really a story about Jackson, it's also a story about me. 1, Jackson had a vision to really help his father turn over that soil. And that's exactly what he wanted to do. 2, he had the barrier of the fence that even though that barrier was there, he was not going to allow that fence. He tried different strategies to get to that fence and over that fence, from around to over to seeing the bend and then finally getting over, and he would not let the barrier stop him. And 3, remember I told you, he also inspired me, and we finished the job faster because of that. So as you may think right now, you keep talking about Jackson. I thought this was a story about you. As I said, this is also a story about me. 1, I'm a vision-oriented leader. I can clearly communicate that vision to people with actions behind it. 2, there are many barriers that continue to come upon my way, my time, and I do not allow those barriers to hold me back from achieving that vision. And 3, I also inspire people. Through my work, through my God-given gifts, they see that light, the persistence, the determination, but also the integrity. And as a result, they say that they would like to be not just like me, but be able to do things because of me. That's my story.